on day one, they were very generous. Yes, go interview them wherever you like. You know, we had our questions, and we thought we were going to have to go through question by question with them to see if they approved, etc. Nah, piece of cake. Go and do your work. Everything looked very nice, except that I noticed that some former combatants wouldn't come to talk to us. And I thought that was very curious. And you have to do your detective work, and so I asked around, and the head of the DDR said, well, yes, we have to agree on something. You are free to interview whoever you want and ask whatever question you want, but do not interview former combatants from M23. And of course I said, yes, yeah, sure, no problem. But that made me even more curious. Why not? What's going on? So I started to try to find why we were not supposed to interview M23 members. And there are many reasons for that. One of them is that the program, DDR, applies for armed groups that are recognized by the government. So they're either included in the DRC DDR program, they're included because they participated in the peace talks, or because they were included later on by presidential decree. Now, the government has not yet recognized the presence of the M23. And for that reason, the UN and MONUSCO and the camp do not have a formal mandate over former members of the M23. Now, they can't turn their backs to people that say, hey, I escaped and I need help. So they do receive these people, and they're there. And when I say they're there, they're there. They have nowhere to go. Because one, they're not repatriated. If you are a former combatant from Rwanda, you come to the camp, you are disarmed, demobilized, you are repatriated, and you become part of the reintegration program in Rwanda, which, by the way, runs very well. They have, lots of training and different skills. They have literacy programs. They receive some assistance, financial, assistance. It runs. But if you're Congolese, there's no repatriation. Why? And there's no reintegration. And you can't go back, because if you were abducted, or if you were kidnapped, or if you were forced to join the militia, they got you from where you come from. And they're probably going to go back and know that you went back. So they can't return to their places of origin. And they have nobody else to go to for help, family, or they don't know anything about organizations and NGOs. We asked all sorts of questions, not a clue. They're mainly illiterate, and they don't have any skills for labor skills. So they're just there. Okay, and then I respected the fact that, hey, okay, I get it. The government of Congo has not recognized the M23. The government of Rwanda has not recognized the M23, because that would be another way through. None of the governments have recognized, and these people hanging out here are former combatants from M23. Fine. However, there were other people just there. And when I say, I want you to picture this is 24 hours of doing nothing. There's nothing there, those tents. Sometimes you have a radio, sometimes you have food coming, they prepare soup at lunchtime, and that's sort of the event of the day. Those completely wasted lives. And some people came to me from different militia groups, and I noticed that they were there for longer than they were supposed to. Usually, you spend from 3 to 5 days at most. If you come on the weekend, that's the most that you spend in a DDR camp. But I had people coming in for interviews that were staying for 3 months, and they were not M23. So I said, what's going on? Something else is... I get the problem with M23, but these are RNC, they're my, what's going on? Well, what happens is they cannot prove their nationality. They cannot prove where they come from. So I started asking them, what do you mean? How can you not prove? Well, my family, my parents died. I don't know where my other relatives are. I don't have any documents. And then you can say, oh, but are they former refugees? Are they, do they come after the genocide? It doesn't matter. I interviewed Tutsis and Hutus and Congolese. They were Congolese. If I asked them, what are you? And they were Congolese. And then I would have to ask more to find out ethnicity. Not that that mattered, and I actually regret that question now. We can talk about that. But Congolese, nowhere to go. And that's what called my attention for the issue of citizenship. It's like, okay, so you can't prove you're from a place because you don't have documents, because you don't have anything, you don't have an ID, you don't have citizenship. And when you're doing human rights work, or at least when I'm trying to design a research, the research I was doing was not my research, right? I told you it was someone else's research. But when I was thinking in my head, how can I help, how can I be involved in this? What are the ways that I could be of any assistance or contribute some way? I thought, one, it has to be something that they want. Two, it has something that is concrete. It can't be abstract. Peace, that's beautiful. And it has to be something that's going to be effective. So I've had this idea of citizenship. And citizenship, if we go back to what it means, or the dimensions of citizenship, oops. Are you happy with that transition? Okay, so I would say that basically there are 3 dimensions for citizenship. A legal dimension, where people can have access to their rights, their civil, political, and social rights. There is a political dimension. So Congo just had elections. And adults in Congo, they don't have ID cards, but some of them have voting cards. Because before elections, they have this voting card campaign, and they go around and they give these voting documents. And that's what people carry. But a political dimension means that not only they can vote, but they can be part of a political party. It means that they can make political demands. So it's something very basic. And then the third one that I particularly love is the idea of identity. So if we're thinking about building a state, because there's no state in Congo, failed state. If we're thinking about building a state, one of the most basic things people need to have is an identity. And in Eastern Congo, that identity is so broken into different ethnic groups, into different language groups, and I would argue that the language groups are even more important than the ethnic groups. We tend to say, oh, it's always the Hutus and Tutsis. I interviewed Hutus who fought with Tutsis in the Congo conflict. So they identify themselves much more by their language. And really, building an identity would help build some sort of a structure or a nation state that happen elsewhere in the world, perhaps. So that's the idea that I told you. It's something that I've been thinking, the idea of citizenship.